Hi, I'm Mitch Gallagher. Welcome to Sweetwater's Guitars and Gear. This time out, a new line of affordable, great sounding combo amplifiers from BOSS. Let's get started. Today we're checking out the new Nextone family of amplifiers from BOSS. Now, these amplifiers rely on the tube logic technology that BOSS has developed. They're very authentic sounding, yet they're very lightweight, they're compact, and they come in at a great price. There are two members in the Nextone family. There's the Nextone Artist, which is the larger amplifier that I'm playing through, and there's also the Nextone Stage, which you see behind me. It's a smaller, lighter weight amplifier. It's great for grab-and-go applications. The only difference between the two amplifiers is the cabinet size and the amount of power that they put out. The Nextone Stage behind me is a 40-watt amplifier with a single 12-inch speaker. It has two channels, clean and dirty, and as we'll see, you have a ton of options for shaping that tone and for loading additional sounds in using an app on your computer. The other amplifier is the Nextone Artist. It's an 80-watt amplifier with a single 12-inch speaker in a larger cabinet. So more power, a little bit bigger sound from that larger cabinet. But the cool thing is, both of these amplifiers can be switched down to half power, so 20 watts and 40 watts, and you can also switch each one down to half a watt, which brings them down to extremely low volume levels, great for bedroom practicing. The Nextone amplifiers are loaded with features. As I mentioned, we have two channels. There's a clean channel, which has a single volume control, and a lead channel with both gain and volume control, so you can balance the level of those two channels. We also have an overall master volume control, as well as an overall presence control. There's a 3-band EQ, bass, middle, and treble. The two amps also feature onboard effects. So we have reverb, which is always available. The amount of that is controlled from the top panel knob here. And you have your choice of either delay or tremolo. And tap tempo allows you to set the speed of those from the top panel. For access to all the parameters of the effects, you can use the app on your computer. In addition to all those features, we also have a switchable mid boost, and you can turn that on and off from the front panel or using a foot switch. And there's a gain boost as well. Again, you can access that from the top panel, or you can use a foot switch to turn that on and off. There's an effects loop on the back panel, and that can be either series or parallel. There's a line out, so you can send the signal directly from the amplifier into your PA system or into your recorder. Although if you're using a recorder, there's another feature that you want to check out, and that's the USB connection. That USB connection hooks up to your computer, and you can use it either to access the control app for programming sounds, which we'll look at in just a little bit, or you can route that straight into your DAW, and you can record both the dry signal and the amplified signal onto separate tracks, so you can use this for reamping as well. We have 3 speaker outputs. The internal speaker is an 8-ohm speaker, and it's connected to an 8-ohm jack. There also are 2 16-ohm jacks, and those can be connected to up to 2 4x12 16-ohm cabinets. So you can really hook this up to a large system if you're playing a bigger hall or you want even fatter tones. Now, you don't have to have your computer hooked up to use the Nextone amplifiers. They work great as just straight ahead amplifiers, plug in and play, and you have 4 sounds available when you do that. We have 2 channels, but there actually are 2 sets of those 2 channels. So there's a standard set with this custom light off, and this is basically the front panel settings. You can switch between clean and dirty, either using a foot switch or the top panel switch. When you press and hold this switch, we go to the custom settings, and these are the ones that are programmed in using your computer, but they're also stored inside the amplifier itself. So we have a second set of clean and dirty channels available to us. Now, to give you an idea of how deep the programmability is with these amplifiers, you can actually change the type of power section that it has. So using a knob here on the front panel, we can go from 6V6 to 6L6 to EL84 to EL34 power tube types. Moving that switch changes not only how the power section interacts with the preamp, but also how it interacts with the speaker. So you really get the effect of playing through an amplifier with a different power section. It's very effective both sonically and feel-wise as a player. So let's check out some sounds in this amplifier. First, we'll look at the sounds as the amplifier comes out of the box before you've ever connected a computer to it. And again, we have 4 sounds on board. So we have the custom switch turned off, and this means that basically the sound we're getting is the one that comes from the front panel here. So let's set everything to 12. And we'll start at 6V6. So here's our clean channel. Now we can turn the delay on if we like. And we do have tap tempo control over the speed of that delay. What I hear there is a nice neutral, sort of an American style clean tone. It's got nice sparkle in the top end, it's very open sounding, takes pedals great by the way, and it also serves as a good base for crafting the tone that you want to use with your different guitars. I'm playing a Les Paul, but a Strat, a Tele, a 335, whatever you might plug in is going to sound great to that clean channel. When we hit the switch, we'll go to the lead channel. Lots of gain on that channel, but you notice things are very quiet. There's actually a built-in noise suppressor in the Nextone amplifiers. We can also add the gain boost and the tone boost to either channel by simply hitting the switches. So here's our dirty tone again. With the tone boost. In this case, we're getting a fatter, lower mid-range tone, and then we can add the gain boost. That's a big fat tone with a lot of gain, and we still have plenty of range left on the gain control, so we can crank things up even more. Now let's go over to the clean channel. Our boosts are off, so here's our straight clean tone. And gain boost. In this case, the gain boost has given us just a little bit of hair on the signal. It's just on the edge of breaking up. The amp is very touch sensitive. No matter how much gain you have coming into the front end of the amplifier, you can turn down your guitar and it responds very well. When we hit the custom switch, we'll go to two pre-programmed sounds that you can still adjust using the top panel. We'll begin with the clean. So we can turn off the two boosts. And turn off the tremolo effect. Now from here we can also adjust the power amp section. So we can go from a 6V6, 6L6, EL84, and EL34. Now, not only is there a sonic difference when you change that power section, there's also a dramatic feel difference. It's very different when you go from, say, a 6L6 to an EL34. Now let's go back to our custom settings and we'll choose our lead channel. In this case, if we change from 6V6, 6L6, EL84, and EL34. You still get a great sonic difference there, and again, the feel's very different to me as a player as well. Just out of the box, just as straight ahead amplifiers, the Nextone amps sound incredible. They're so lightweight and they're very versatile, so whether you're playing jazz, country, rock, fusion, whatever it might be, there's plenty of tone available just with the onboard controls to shape the sound exactly the way that you want. But the amps really open up and give you deep access to parameters when you connect a computer by USB and open up the Nextone editor. Let's check it out. So I have the Nextone editor app on my MacBook Pro here, and we're hooked up by USB to the back of the computer. This gives us access to a ton of parameters, way more than you get from the top panel. The top panel allows you to do general tone shaping, set up the gain, choose the power amp section type. Here we can dig really deep into a lot of different parameters for the effects, for the preamp, for the power amp, and more. So let's take a quick tour. First of all, we can save and load presets from here. When we click on a preset, it's loaded into the amplifier and ready to go. So if we start on the Nextone Custom that we were listening to earlier, and we we switch to 6v6 tweed, we can also go to the lead channel. You can hear that's a very different tone from when we were on the Nextone custom preset. If we go to the clean twin, again, a very different sound. If we come down to top boost, we'll go to clean. And lead. So again, a very different sound, and I think you're starting to get the idea of how versatile this amplifier really is and how deep the programming allows us to get. So you can create and load your own bank of presets, or you can access the factory presets and you can edit those to change them how you like. So let's go back to this clean twin. Again, here's our clean sound. We can turn the boost on and off in this preamp page. We can set the gain, set the level, and again we can dial those back. We also have several other types of boosts available to us. That was our clean boost. We have a mid boost, treble boost. Our final selection for the boost is actually a compressor. And we have control over sustain as well as level. Likewise, for the tone boost, we have several different selections. We turn that on. We go from bright 1 to bright 2. And bright 2 does give us a level control as well. The tone boost also has its own equalizer. It's a single band equalizer that basically is a mid boost. So we have an American and a British version of that. Here's with it off, and here's with it on. And we'll switch to the British version. You can hear we're affecting the lower mid-range of the sound there. When you combine that with the bright 1 and 2, you can really add a nice tone boost to what's happening with the standard amplifier controls. We have a noise suppressor with a threshold and a release time over here. If we scroll down, we have our channel EQ. You can see that this is actually very deep, much deeper than you get from the front panel. So we have a low cut filter, and we can adjust the frequency that it operates at. We have a low gain control here for the bass control. For the low mid control, we can adjust the frequency, the gain, and the bandwidth, and that's the same on the high mid control. We have frequency, bandwidth, and gain. Treble control or high gain control, and then there's a high cut that allows us to take some of the very top end off and warm things up just a little bit. And finally, we can set the overall level for the EQ section. You can turn the channel EQ on and off, and you can also set whether that's going into the preamp or coming out of the preamp. When we move over to the power amp section, you can see we have 6V6, 6L6, EL84, and EL34, but in addition to choosing the tube type, we can also configure the power amp section. We have those same controls available for all 4 tube types, so you can really get in and experiment with the exact sound you want to have, the response you want to have coming out of the power amp section of the amplifier. Now for each of these presets, we can save the preamp and the power amp, as well as the effects for both the clean and the lead. So you can really dig in and configure each channel exactly the way that you want it. When we move over to effects, here's where we choose whether we're using delay or tremolo. We have different types of delay available. So we have the SDE3000, which is a classic Roland rack mount delay. We have an analog delay and a tape echo. Depending on which delay type we have selected, we have different parameters available. So if we switch to the SDE3000, we can access modulation controls and more. When we go to the analog delay, we have more basic controls. And again, when we go to the tape echo, more basic controls. When we switch to tremolo, we have rate, depth, effects level, but we can also change the wave shape. So you can go from a smoother waveform to a more choppy waveform. Now with delay and with tremolo, you can set the delay time right here on this page and it'll be exactly that delay time when you load it up, or you can use the tap tempo control on the front panel of the amplifier to set it in the tempo that you want. When we go to reverb, we have several different types: plate reverb, spring reverb, and hall reverb. And again, the parameters will change depending on which one you're using. In addition to these channel-specific controls, we also have global controls. You access those up here under the menu. So we can set the input level. If you're using a low output guitar, you can turn it up on the input. If you're using a high output guitar, you can turn that down to get better clean tones. You can set up the effects loop for post amp, post reverb, series, parallel. You can switch it on and off and set your levels as well. In addition to the channel EQs, we also have a global overall EQ, and this sets the overall tonality for the amplifier. So if we switch to that, this is a parametric EQ again that allows you to really go in and tweak the overall sound of the amp. If you want it globally to be darker, you can set this here. If you want less low end of the amplifier, again, globally, you can do that using this EQ, and you also have a level control here. So this is very powerful. You can set it on the input as well as the output of the amplifier. Our line out allows us to feed directly into a DAW, to a recorder, or to a live sound console, and we have 3 air feel settings here that simulate the effects of different speaker cabinets. In addition, we can access setup for the USB connection, we can access the owner's manual, and there are some other minor settings like which device you're accessing and things. The basic settings, though, allow you to really get in and tweak with what's going on with all the tones on all the channels, and then save all of those settings as presets that you can instantly recall and have available to you in the amplifier. I want to show you one more thing using the USB connection, and that's that you can record straight into a DAW using the Nextone amplifiers and the USB connection. So I'm running Cubase Pro here, and I've got it set up so that it's accepting its input from the Nextone USB connection. That's my audio interface in this case, coming straight out of the amplifier. There are 2 channels that come out of the amplifier. One is the dry signal from the guitar, so you can use that for reamping the signal later, put any amplifier on it that you want. The other is the actual sound of the amplifier. So you're recording 2 channels, one dry and one with amp. Very easy to do. Just put things into record, hit record, and once you're rolling, you're recording that quickly. I hope you've enjoyed this look at the new family of Nextone amplifiers from BOSS. Man, these are incredible sounding amplifiers. I love how lightweight they are. The form factor is great. The size of it, just throw it in your car and you're ready to go to the gig. The onboard effects mean you don't even have to take any pedals with you if you don't want to, but with an effects loop you can use your board as well. These are going to work well for practicing, for rehearsal, in the studio, on the stage. Very versatile amplifiers, and all the options sound incredible. I recommend you definitely check these out. Great sounding amplifiers at a great price with a lot of flexibility and versatility. Thanks for joining me for Sweetwater's Guitars and Gear. Be sure to tune in next time. We'll have more guitars, more amps, more effects, and we'll be making lots of music. I'm Mitch Gallagher.